Got you niggas spoiling movies. Yeah. Brandon Collins, that's me. And Justin Brown for your movie needs. Media popcorn. Woo! You haven't seen it, well, we're gonna spoil it. Spoil it in your face. That's your warning. So if you get pissed, it's all your fault.
Yo, what it do?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm good. This is my co-host Justin.
What's going on, Melanie?
Hey, Justin. You're the go-go boy.
Oh, shit.
Damn, you remember that shit?
Yeah, I think it should be required listening for anyone who likes podcasts. I was not previously interested in Magic Mike.
Oh my God. That just fucked me up.
What did you that Magic Mike episode? That's the one when I had the rant about the farts, right? The protein farts.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna get to that. I was mostly because I could relate. I was like, yes, protein farts are disgusting. Yeah. And then when they started dragging you for sounding old, I was like, yeah, of course he sounds old. That's why I agree with it.
Oh my God,
Melanie, we're so excited to have you on the show. I've been a fan of you for a while. Melanie was also on Drum Black History. That was the Juneteenth show, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Fun fact, Justin did our last live show.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't drink. So what we did was he has this weird suit that makes him look like Steve Harvey. And we did a Black Family Feud.
Yeah, we did Black History Family Feud.
It's probably the most fun I've ever had.
It was wild.
I'm mad I missed it.
But you were still part of history. You were part of the Juneteenth show.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's excellent. That's hilarious. Have you put the Steve Harvey one out yet?
No, there's just pictures on Facebook. We didn't record.
Oh, okay. Then I didn't miss it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I missed it, but
yeah.
No, that was like a dream of mine, man. I don't know, like you can look back and see me bothering drunk in history. Like, y'all should really have me on this show. I'm gonna rock the shit. And then when you hit me up, I'm like, oh, this is way better. I get to talk about shit I really care about.
Yeah, right.
Like, it was gonna give me some bullshit or make me a slave or something like that. I didn't want to do that. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's why Justin was asking me earlier. He was like, why are we talking about Selah and the Spades? Like, why are we doing this movie? I'm like, because I've seen so many white versions of this.
Yes,
Black and brown people as the protagonists,
but
even though they are drug dealers.
But
even though they're drug dealers, they're classy drug dealers, they're designer drug dealers.
But at the same time, I didn't even want to see the white versions of this movie, so it doesn't make it any better. I mean, it's just like I don't
love those movies though.
I hate those movies.
Really?
Because for me, it's not based in reality. Because those
I mean, it's a movie, nigga.
No, but hold on, no. But the thing is, like, I went to like a ritzy high school, right?
But you went to a public school or you went to a private?
No, I went to a Catholic school.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I went to a Catholic school. I went to like one of the prominent Catholic schools on Long Island. And like the white people were there weren't even like this. When I think about like white people like this in high school, I'm just like, yo, we gonna beat them up. That's all I think about. like where do you get these kids from?
So that was the other. Whenever I look at movies like that, that's always I just put that in the suspension of disbelief, because in real life, this bitch gets punched in the face. Like it's. Like there was this girl who was kind of trying to cyber bully my daughter, and I got a call, and it was because my daughter got suspended. That's how the story goes in real life. And not to say that kids can't get bullied, and not to say that there aren't, but real life humans have much shorter breaking points for the most part. You might have a few of those long-suffering kids who bottle it up and explode. Yep. But your average teenager, you got about 3 times and then somebody's getting punched in the mouth.
Listen, let me tell you, hold on. Now I'll tell you some ratchet shit. So when I was in like 7th grade, my bus driver called my mama a dog. Yeah, She got up. She stepped outside.
She beat the bus driver?
Huh? No. So we were all kids talking and shit like that. And the bus driver interjected and said something about that dog being my mom or some shit like that. And I remember all these kids was like, ooh, looked at me. I was just like, guess I gotta go upside the bus driver's head. That's exactly what I did.
You beat up the bus driver?
I slapped my bus driver on the side of the fucking head. I'm not, like white lady, you're not gonna talk about my mother.
I mean, yeah.
Wait a minute. You slapped a white woman?
Yes, I did. I slapped a white woman beside her fucking head. Like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? All right.
You need a whole other march needs to be just in history month.
Yo.
And usually I'm not big on males hitting women, but I'll allow it.
But I mean, I was in 7th grade, right?
That's what you do when somebody talks about your mom in the 7th grade.
Exactly. So long story short, they suspended me off the bus. They're like, he's not coming on the bus throughout the rest of the year. Yeah. My pop showed up in the office the next day. He's just like, well, this is what happened. And I suggest you let this little nigga on the bus because you're going to have to deal with his mama sometime soon. Is this, you good?
Yeah, that's you, right?
I don't know. All right. So she was like, so they're like, you're going to have to deal with this. You're going to have to deal with his mama. Long story short, they put me back on the bus. And the bus driver had to have a conversation with my mom and the whole fucking bus company, shit like that. My mom straight up told her, it's like, yo, you're right. He should have never put his hands on you. That was wrong. I don't condone that because he should have just came in home and told me because when you dropped him off, I would have been coming down the fucking driveway and I would have dragged you out of the bus and beat you in the fucking street. So then
really, helped her. You helped her.
I did.
You helped her. Because had your mama gotten to it, that would have been a whole other kind of fight.
Oh yeah, she was. My mom was gonna go to jail. My mom,
yeah.
My mom, she's not the one. She was not the one, especially at that time. So after that, the bus driver started dropping me off with the door facing the opposite side of the street because she knew very well the Carol Round may come lumbering down that fucking driveway and drag her out by the hair. No game.
I had kids that were and I used to have to go to school a lot, and they would hand out these because my kids are Black, and we were going in kind of like a mixed area school. My kids went to school in when they were small, they were in Montgomery County, Maryland, and they would hand out these exorbitant big ass suspensions, and I'm like, okay, no, we ain't doing that. Yeah, no, maybe he did this, but no. So let's figure it out. And that's a lot of the disciplinary actions are them trying to test you and see how far they can go before you get tired and just let them do whatever, because there are parents who don't challenge that.
Yeah, I mean, I was the only Black family in the school for the most part.
Well, I got taken out of Catholic school. I went to Catholic school when I was in kindergarten and the beginning of 1st grade, I believe. And because I had not a problem with authority, but when white people just tell you to do something, you're just like, you're not my mom, so why should I do this? And they used to send me to the dean's office, and they had the wooden paddle, and I got beat at least once a week. And eventually my mom's like, I can't just have this. I just can't have this white man just beating my kid. He's going to go to public school now.
The whole beating kids at school thing was always wild to me. And I remember getting hit with a stick or whatever in 1st or 2nd grade. And they ended that as I got older in school because parents got more ignorant. And there was a shift between whatever the teacher says is right and bitch, I'm gonna come and beat your ass. What the fuck is wrong with you? And that was right around, those parents showed up right around the time I was 9, 10. And so they started changing those policies around then. I mean, I went to school in the 80s, so it was still partially Jim Crow South, partially the future. So it was the 80s were a weird time.
partially the future.
The 80s was wild, man. Back to the Future and shit. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also because we had the crack epidemic going on. They would start niggas
right.
Paying attention. Niggas are not paying attention. They too busy somewhere. It's oh no, niggas woke up.
Well, the whole thing you were talking about, suspending disbelief and stuff. My whole issue with this movie was that Selah would have gotten caught pretty quickly. she wasn't being low key at all.
No.
And so it's like, well, there's consequences to this, right? Like I knew drug dealers in high school, and you wouldn't even guess who some of them were because they were low key as fuck. They delegated, had other people doing it. She had one dude, the brother from Jerome from When They See Us,
When they see it.
who's very obviously like there's something going on with that nigga.
Like you're walking around with hired muscle.
Right?
Yeah, he got jacked up. He got a cut across his nose. Like the dean, Jesse Williams, his light skinned ass ain't gonna be like, "Hey, brother, what happened to you?"
Right, like that whole scene was very unbelievable because there was no consequence, and I think some to me, and maybe this is me going too deep into it, but some of it, the more unbelievable parts of it were kind of showcasing how ridiculous this is in white movies and how it's ridiculous across the board, but it's definitely ridiculous when you put black faces in these positions.
That's felt like that. That's the same reason I felt about this movie. It was just kind of like it makes it worse when you add black people to it because like nobody, like we definitely ain't gonna get away with this shit.
And there were parts of it. Well, so first of all, I'm a parent to college age kids. So, well, adults. My kids are 19 and 22, but all of these type of movies, especially like these realistic-ish type of movies, they are horror stories to me because because even though there was a lot of it that was nonsensical, when that girl almost overdosed, they would have completely let her die. She was completely going to let her die. And I know kids that's happened to where they were too scared because they got fucked up and rather than go to the hospital, kid choked on her own vomit. So for me, that I was like, this is horror and suspense. What in the whole fuck?
Well, yeah, I mean, Selah is out of her goddamn mind. I mean, when he's like, you can't keep drugging people.
Yeah,
like that piss you off. Like,
so at first,
girl,
they kind of put it like it's sort of like a Mean Girls. And no, nigga, this is Kids. Have you ever seen Kids? Because that's a horror story for your ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, no, this is not Mean Girls. This is fucking Kids. Get it away. I liked the cinematography of it. Like that was dope. But the whole it was completely camp. The whole Jesse Williams, I keep wanting to call my man Jesse Owens. Jesse, I don't no offense, Brandon, I don't pay that much attention to light skin men. So I always
that light skin.
You're not?
Am I light skin?
I mean, you're not 100% light. He's kind of like a toasted Dominican.
You're like a cafe au lait. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're a caramel macchiato.
Yeah, you're not like Jesse Williams light skin. You're not that like that's I consider that kind of light skin irredeemable. I think I'm a self-hating light skin person. I don't know.
Fair.
It's just once you get past a certain level of light skin, it's just way too much and you do too much. And he kind of falls in that category. And his whole character was, I couldn't get the point of any of them, really. Like there was not enough backstory for any of this. They just kind of like put a bunch of ideas together.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see anything developed deeper than it was. It was all very
surface level.
And the thing about it was you knew there were things bubbling under the surface, but they didn't explore any of that. And that's what made it like it was a watchable movie, but it could have really been a great movie if they'd have put like just a little more polish, a little more English.
Yeah, I think there's definitely could have been some more character development. I think with Jesse Williams, like he's trying to figure out what's going on in campus. And he's asking, like that one white kid that got beat up. He's like, oh, you fell down the stairs? Everyone keeps falling down these stairs or whatever. But I'm just like, bro, like, aren't there cameras on campus? Like, look around.
Yeah, that was the other thing. all that money and you can't afford a camera in the hallway. Suspicious.
I know, but you know what is all I think a part of it is also for me is just like after they had that party and it's like, oh, the campus security's coming, whatever, everybody runs, and he comes in the next day like he's fucking Sherlock Holmes, and he picks up a bottle that has a spade on it, and I'm just like, well, obviously you know whose shit this is, but like he's just like, huh? He just puts it away, and I'm just like, why we have this scene? What was
At all. There was so much of that in the movie. This was like that. The whole movie was basically them letting us know that Jon Snow was a Targaryen and they do shit with it. just nothing.
This was,
but
no, this is almost like a shittier version of Cruel Intentions.
Yes.
That's what I got from it. But it was just like, because Cruel Intentions is also, it's like, hey, were they high school students in that?
Yeah.
So they're high school students in that, but they talk like they were fucking 30 years old.
Well, they look like they were 32.
Well,
At least this cast looked young.
They did, but
yeah,
they also tried to talk like they were fucking 30 years old. I'm just like, this shit don't work because these kids today, they are more like their 30-year-old kids, and they wouldn't be making these dumb mistakes that these kids are doing in this film. And none of it matched up. It just didn't seem right to me.
There were so many moments in this movie that could have elevated it that I don't even know where to start. Even when you look at Selah and Paloma's relationship, I thought it was going to be like kind of a romance thing. I couldn't see where they were going with that.
I thought
and they even alluded to that and didn't do anything with it. The complexities between Selah and her mother, which amazing. You have Gina fucking Torres, and you don't do jack shit with Gina Torres?
Yeah.
Disappointing.
This movie should have been called Selah and Jack Shit, because that's all we got. We got this girl and we got Jack Shit.
And the unfortunate thing about it was I thought the actors, I wasn't crazy about what Jesse Williams gave me, but the other actors, they did well with the material they had, in my opinion. I think I like what's her name? Lovey something. Selah, the girl who played Selah, because she's on Greenleaf. Yes, okay. Lovey Simone. And I was about to say Lovey Smith, and she's not a football coach. So I liked her. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, because I was about to say Lovey Smith, and you said Simone. I'm like, yeah, that's right. That's exactly the name.
Yeah, I was like, Lovey. No, not that. But I like her in Greenleaf, so I'm glad to see her in more things. And this movie could have been great, and I get what they tried to do. I really do. And I, as somebody who does like that genre of movie, it had a lot of potential, but they just couldn't quite get it over the, over the finish line. Interesting point for me, because I'm from New Orleans, I'm a Saints fan. Drew Brees was one of the executive producers. Did y'all know that?
Oh shit, I didn't see that.
Drew Brees was one of the executive producers for this movie. Yes.
That's weird. That's weird.
Well, I think Drew has been working on his awareness.
Oh, since his last transgression?
But this got made before that, though. This got made before that, though. This got made 2018. When did he say that crazy shit? Recently, right?
Yeah, this season? Or is it
that would have been this last year. Yeah. So no, he had done something else. He kind of let his All Lives Matter flag fly around then. And it kind of flew under the radar. And so I think that was maybe part of his initial. And I mean, maybe he did that and thought that he'd done his contribution and he could talk crazy in 2020. And no, white man, you got a lot to do.
Listen, I helped the Negro tale.
Yeah. It's a marathon, not a sprint, baby. So
I do agree. I think the actors did the best they could with the material. I think that they could have, they needed to figure out what kind of genre they wanted this to fall into. Is it a crime, like dark comedy? Is it like a crime thriller? Is it a
Yeah,
romantic thriller? Like what's going on? Because I also thought that Paloma and Selah were gonna hook up too, because
yeah.
you didn't really see Selah like courting anybody. You saw Maxie, he was courting the Asian girl. And so I was like, okay, so they're not together. So then is she into Paloma? But then I was like, oh, is she grooming her to take over the Spades
Yeah.
at some point? And then it was like, no, she's talking all the shit. She planned the second prom or whatever the fuck. I gotta take her out. And it's like, what?
Well, I think that's part of her thing. Because the other girl, I think she's kind of a repeat of what she'd done to that girl, Tila, um, where I think she was grooming her as well. And then decided, oh no, you're getting too big for your britches. I gotta shut you down. And I think that's just part of how she rolls. You can grow and she can groom you, but you cannot.
But where did that come from though? That's the thing, is like, we
They
got
didn't. Another thing they should have
yeah,
explored.
you got the story with her and Gina Torres, the mom, about like, she wants her to go to that college and she sends her the sweater, she cuts it up or whatever. But I'm like, but what does this have to do with you feeling like Paloma is like encroaching on your clout, right? And so therefore you have to take her out and frame her similar to what you did with
All right.
the other girl.
So this is what I'm getting. And now I'm trying to put on my fucking detective glasses. All right, no, my detective hat rather. Now I'm gonna what's that nigga with Watson?
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
What's that nigga with Watson?
No one's ever said Watson first.
I like Watson. Watson's but dude. Okay, so
Because he's always saying elementary, my dear Watson. So you're gonna remember Watson.
I got Watson up in here, but Sherlock, fuck him, because he's a dick. All right, so anyhow, so, don't look at me like that, Brandon. So
you've watched the movies, I gather.
Yes, I have.
And the TV show. The TV show is really good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. So my thing, I think that because of the way her mother treats her, she wants to feel like all of her ideas and the things that she brings to the table are all validated and the best, right?
Yeah.
So then when you have Paloma coming in and she's dropping some nuggets, she's dropping these grand nuggets. Everybody's just like, oh shit, this girl's got some shit about it. And she's not even close to a senior yet. She's a sophomore, I think, right? I think that led to her being just like, oh, this bitch thinks she's better than me.
So I've got to give y'all I can give you a little girl intel on how this works. Because it's something that I'm very familiar with, and you're pretty much on the right track with that. And it's just that you can, when you have the queen bee, you can be the princess bee. And as far as she's concerned, you're the best of the best as long as you remain the princess bee.
Mm.
But once you become the queen bee or get close to being the queen bee and she's not ready to stop being the queen.
But she's graduating, right?
It doesn't matter.
She has to stay in her lane until
it doesn't matter. It does not matter. It's a very interesting. There were things about that I did like, because I mean, for you guys who don't travel in that world because you're guys, you wouldn't necessarily get that, but that is, I won't say that's how all girls operate, but that is a dynamic that is not as uncommon as you would think.
High school girls and their cliques and stuff were cold as ice. Mm-hmm. They were fucking betraying each other. They were sucking each other's boyfriends.
Oh goodness!
It was wild.
I was somebody in high school who kind of actively avoided one clique just because of that, because I didn't want to deal with the politics that came with just being in a certain set of people. Yeah. And it was some cutthroat shit.
Cutthroat city.
And you terrible. Don't, and I mean, I had a different teenage experience, so I was able to kind of sit in the rafters and observe, because I was more or less a neutral party on all of it. And when people know that you're outside of it, they start confiding things. Mm. it's worse than soap operas. It can be worse than soap operas. And so there were things that I related to. One scene that I will say I did like was the scene when she talks about being 17 and how people tell you how to feel in your skin and that type of thing. And it seems like something that you wouldn't think of at 17, but I remember being 17 and kind of having that awareness of, I'm trying to grow up and everybody's telling me what I have to be and I don't get to choose this. I remember that. I also have a daughter. My daughter was I keep saying I have a daughter, but my daughter was a cheerleader. And I remember how stringent they were about how they could move, about how they could, how they would wear their hair, their movements had to be stiff because they didn't want them to gyrate too much. It was that type of thing. And it was more so that they didn't excite the boys, and it's things that you don't think about because they just accept it as fact. But that's what it was. And so for her saying, we decide what we do, that was not rooted in the reality that I know. In certain dynamics, especially like my daughter went to school in Pittsburgh, so it was different. But having more money, having greater access allows you to have slightly more control over what you can do. I went to a liberal arts high school. It was a public school, but it was pretty loose, and I didn't have those restrictions. And I saw the difference. I saw the difference when I had kids who went to school in another environment. So they did get some things right, but they didn't develop them enough.
Yeah, because they were too. I think the writer Tarayashi Poe, who's also the director, I think she got too caught up in like, oh, this is gonna be like a fun like play on like the 5 families for the mob and so with the factions, and then we're gonna have like this diverse group, but predominantly Black, which didn't quite add up because wasn't there a comment about how the black students were like a pretty low part of the population, which was like, all right, you got all these Black protagonists, and then on top of that, you have Jesse Williams as the dean. I was like, what kind of school is this? Because it felt like
a boarding school.
It was a boarding school, but I was like, in regards to diversity, the makeup, right?
True.
Like, did we only see Black hair, like the only Black students? That's what it felt like. But because I don't think we really got outside of like this immediate circle to understand the full school culture.
It's true.
I think so, but
we talked about the different factions.
I think we saw the core of the Black students, and not to go too far in my artsy fartsy hat, but I wonder how deliberate that was. Because that's kind of when you start dealing with the public face of these schools now, and they want to show you, we're a diverse school, send your kid here. You're going to see the Black kids in the fucking brochure. They don't let you know that those are all the Black kids on the campus. So I wasn't quite sure if that was a deliberate choice or not.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I was just like, it was just something I was thinking about. Another question I wanted to posit to you all is, did what was the girl's name? Tila? Was she actually a snitch, or did Selah just set her up to say that that's why she?
Oh, she set that bitch up.
Okay,
I think she did the same thing to Tila that she did to Paloma. I think that's why Maxie reacted the way he did.
But remember, like Maxie says though, towards like when they first hear rumblings of a snitch in their circles, he's like, "Oh, we haven't had a snitch since sophomore year."
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, so that's Tila. But then if he knows that she drugged Tila, similar to how he did Paloma, then was Tila actually a snitch and that's why she got drugged?
No, hold on.
Or was Tila not the snitch?
No, Tila wasn't. Tila wasn't the snitch. Tila was just Selah's underling who Selah fucked up and basically got in a drunk driving charge, whatever, and got her expelled.
Well, she drugged her on acid or something.
Yeah. So the snitch, that was something completely different because that was 2 years before this. Yeah. The Tila thing, I think that was very recent.
I thought you kind of both. I have a kind of hybrid of both of your theories. I thought those two were related. I did not think Tila was the snitch.
Okay.
But I think Tila took the fall for Selah kind of following behind whoever snitched, if that makes sense. Like,
Okay.
Stella was about to go down and she put Tila out there. That's what I got. Can I tell you one thing that's bothering me that I thought was a missed opportunity?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So the narrator at the beginning is not a character in the story. The narrator really should have been Tila. And I thought that was a missed opportunity because she doesn't really have anything to do with the story for real, but it's an outsider's view. And it's going to bother me how many missed opportunities this movie had.
There were.
It could have been like a few more attentions to detail and we'd be having a whole other conversation about this movie.
Well, also on the, to that, now I know we briefly touched on it. Is like, all right, is Paloma going to be in some sort of form of relationship with Selah? Is she going to be in some form of relationship with Maxie? No, Maxie's off with this Asian girl. I forgot what her name
to the
was.
point where he gets sloppy with the ledger, which I was like, that doesn't seem believable.
Yeah. So if that's the case, I want to know a little bit more about that Asian girl in Maxie's thing, because she's playing a big role in like seemingly the downfall of this house.
Of that faction,
you know what I'm saying? So is this a purpose? Is this a purposeful thing that's happening right now where she's getting into Maxie's head and infiltrating and fucking shit
I
up?
thought that's what they really into with the snitch thing. Yeah.
I did not get that.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. They could have gone that way, but they didn't. Then
so what I got from the direction that they actually went was that it didn't matter who. Oh shit, what's her name? I'm gonna call her Lulu. I don't care.
Okay,
Lulu.
There it is.
Yep.
I didn't get that she was in his ear, but she was a distraction.
Yeah.
And the thing that like Selah is a sociopath. Like full stop, she's a sociopath. And it didn't matter the reason why he was distracted, but his attention was not on her. And he said it at one point. He said, try holding the weight of Selah on your shoulders for your whole life. And so he's always been the person who's right there.
Yep. And
the first time he fucks up, she loses it. Like when you have a real friend.
She set him up to get the shit beat out of him.
She said and it wasn't even, she didn't know what was going to happen to him. Because just like he could have gotten his ass kicked, he could have got killed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it did not matter because he fucked up. And that was the thing that was what I got. I thought that was a deliberate choice too, because it wasn't that there was a nefarious force behind it. It was just that the attention was not 100% on her. And so he had to be punished for it.
Well, but I feel like there was a juicier story there.
Yeah,
could have been told, but they fell short because like they could have also thrown Paloma into that shit. They Paloma, she sees this shit going on, so she kind of just like, yo, Selah,
But she's kind of in between too, because she's talking to the Bobby girl. She's like, she's hanging out with everybody, even though she's a shy girl, which didn't make any sense.
True. But so she's the bridge between all this and Selah.
She's the audience.
Well, no, not necessarily the audience. She's literally the mediator. She somehow became the mediator, but she could have been the mediator who's trying to. It's like, hey, I know you and Maxie, you guys are close, so I just want to give you a heads up. What's going on with Maxie, or whatever. And then she gives Selah too much information. And then all of a sudden, that's why Selah gets Maxie fucked up. And now like Maxie's just like, yo, that girl fucking Paloma's a snitch. And now like, it's shine time on Paloma. It's like, that's a more compelling story as opposed to what we got. It's just like, Selah's very insecure about her position in the world right now. It's just like, but let's go deeper. Let's go. It was too face value.
I did like that scene between Paloma and Maxie, where he's kind of like saying, like, "Who are you? Like, you don't know anything. Like, you just joined this. You're like a little minion or whatever." And I was like, "Okay,
yeah." But if that's gonna happen, when the fucking foot drops on the whole Maxie shit, then the minion should have been there to look at him like this, like, what the fuck did I tell you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There should have been something that should have come out of that conversation. We didn't get that. So it's just like any, especially you're talking about a man. All right, woman's in power. The second dude is a dude, right? And then you have another woman who's going to be following up, taking over for her. And the woman sees the dude is fucking up to her boss. I mean, to his boss. Then he's just like, she tries to have a conversation with him about it. He's just like, yo, stay in your fucking lane, bitch. Right? Then when he gets fucked up, you think the underling is not going to be like, nigga, what'd I tell you? What'd I tell you?
Yeah.
Like that, but that's real shit.
I think maybe she would have done that if Selah wasn't so fucking cold and callous when he shows up practically like falling over the table, bleeding profusely. How he got on campus looking that fucked up and not going to the hospital, I have no idea. But then she just like, what did she tossed the copies of the ledger, right?
Mm-hmm.
The per copy that white kid had, because they were trying to blackmail them and they were like, it's just fun. I'm like, no, nigga, you crossed the line there. But I'm like, yeah, Paloma was probably like, oh, like neither one of y'all to fuck with at that, that scene. Like, it's not like she's gonna be like, oh, told you so. She's gonna be like, no, both of you were fucked up.
Now, Selah had Paloma beat the dog shit out of that boy, right?
Yes. So that's
her buddy, right?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
So she fucked him up. She had to have fucked him up. So one of the things about that scene that I thought was another case of them trying to do the most was they were trying to invoke some Macbeth imagery because that was the play they were doing, the blood on her hands,
I didn't even peep
afterward.
Okay.
Even like certain things about like the bushes, there was a lot. I did a deep dive into Macbeth senior year. I could do this all day, but that was they kind of tried to pull that into the story, but then didn't do anything with it. That was another thing. I don't think they had a clear definition of what they wanted to do. They had a lot of great opportunities. It was like a hodgepodge of great opportunities, but it did not make for a cohesive movie.
Yeah, I feel like there was a darker story here because this movie's only 97 minutes. And so I feel like there's probably some stuff that was cut because they're like, that goes, it's too dark. Or Selah is now very unlikable because, she's not a likable character, but I imagine there was probably some things in here that made you, even as an audience member, even more turned off by her.
One thing I did like about the movie is that Selah is pretty much irredeemable. And I love an irredeemable Black girl, irredeemable Black woman in a movie because there's just this pull where when you're a Black woman in a movie, you have to be good. You have to be, whatever, to be a compelling character, to be an interesting character. And Selah was an interesting character. And she was an interesting, irredeemable person. And
to that point, I absolutely agree with that because one of the craziest but most fun performances we've ever seen on the show was Taraji P. Henson in Acrimony.
Oh God!
Because that was an irredeemable character because she was so like crazy. She's like, oh, he screwed me over here. He took my money here. I didn't get this. And it's just so insane because by the end, when all the shit goes down, you're just like, yeah, it's not going to be a happy ending for her. But it was a fun performance.
Is Acrimony a Tyler Perry movie?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Oh, I gotta watch it because I know it's a mess.
You haven't seen it?
Oh, it's a mess.
Oh,
I have not seen it.
Mess.
So I will admit this. I've been doing a thing where I'm watching every single Tyler Perry stage play.
They're good though, right? I've heard they're good.
It's a very specific type of good. It's terrible.
Yeah,
it's like a good terrible. It's good and terrible.
They're good derives and ends from niggerdom.
It's yes, powerful niggardry at work. Powerful niggardry. There's always Tyler Perry going off script and on a tangent. People are visibly forgetting their lines. Just name it. He's like, you definitely, somebody might get AIDS. Like, this is the type of thing that Tyler Perry deals in. Like, this is his medium, and he is a master. And I love it.
You're gonna love Acrimony then, because there's literally a scene where she's like, young Taraji gets in a car accident. She's like, and then they took out my ovaries, so I can't have no babies. So we're like, whoa. It's only 25.
Tyler Perry. I can't wait until Tyler Perry tries to get into heaven. I really want to know what Peter's face looks like. Like,
The shit you were popping down there.
nigga. Peter just gonna have a whole roll of Madea, who I just love. I shamelessly, like, I know that Tyler Perry is controversial, and I know that Madea is definitely controversial. I love the foolishness because it's just nonsense. It's like none of this is rooted in reality.
Yeah.
Much like Selah.
But Selah tried to play it straight. That's the problem. Is that like there was no real comedy in this.
None of it is rooted in reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I kind of wish there would have been like lighter moments, and I think there were the lighter moments. The only lighter moments were like the drug-induced ones, which I think maybe was deliberate as well. I don't know. It was like it was some dark shit.
Okay, can we just have a conversation about this? Now, I mean, many times in this show, I've said if a full movie is on YouTube, is trash. You're gonna find the biggest piece of dog shit you're ever gonna see. Is something being on Amazon Prime just a step above YouTube?
I don't think so, because I just watched One Night in Miami and that was phenomenal.
No, but
they're getting better. They're getting better. But
they're getting
the Black Cinema Library on Amazon Prime is wild. I watched a 2.5 hour movie with Carly Red from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, and it was like filmed on like not even an iPhone. It was like one of those old camcorders.
No, an iPhone 5.
It was really bad, and it's 2.5 hours about this dude who's like a clown cheating on his beautiful wife with a busted girl, and about how like that impacts all these people. It's one that Amazon Prime has some crazy shit.
Yo,
really?
Amazon Prime is like the movie UPN. That's a quote. I gotta write that shit.
Well, you know something, that means Amazon Prime is geared up to be the next huge thing, because whenever they always start with us, they always build with a bunch of black nonsense, and then the next thing you know, boom, your Fox News.
Well, actually, you gotta put it like this, because they gear up. They take us in, and just like yeah, we're all black, and they're just like, let's throw some young white people in here to make this thing seem right, and then they just fire all the blacks, and now it's just young white people.
Yeah, it's like, hey, this is just White Mike on the Wayans Brothers. Oh no, now it's One Tree Hill. Did they have black people on One Tree Hill? I didn't watch the shit because it was too many white people for me. But
I think they had a bald black dude.
Oh well, yeah, that doesn't count because that's like the stock character.
Yeah, bald black guy, no facial hair, just looking like a Ninja Turtle all the time. That's the way it goes.
And he has his one militant episode, and that's them giving their contribution. He's not a token.
And of course, he gets arrested. He has to get arrested in the show.
And has his emotional tear scene because black men cry.
He's like, you're a white guy. You don't understand what I'm going through, man.
It's all so terrible. So yeah, I did not realize that, but I'm going to have to get into some of the foolishness.
By the way, Chad Michael Murray, he was in One Tree Hill, right?
Yes.
Because he's the cop that shoots Michael B. Jordan in Fruitvale Station. And I was like, I already didn't like this nigga. And now I got this to...
I forgot about that. I forgot he was in One.
I'm just saying.
That's
a haunting movie, man.
Oh, boy.
I remember when I saw that movie, I was like, oh, Michael B. Jordan about to be a star.
Yeah.
I was like, he about to be like huge. And same with Ryan Coogler. I'm like, this is going to be some shit.
Yeah,
it's amazing how you can just kind of see things developing and kind of see stuff in the works.
Yeah, if this movie had been better.
That was one of those moments. That's a movie, like, I only watched it once, and it was amazingly done, amazingly acted, but
not again, yeah.
That's not one you can do twice.
But I would say the same thing about this movie, though. Like, if this had been a better movie, I think Lovey Simone would be, like, huge right now.
Yeah. And I think she's still, because people are gonna, people are going to see that.
Mhm.
Even though it's, people are going to see her for what she is. And it's like I said, one of the things that stood out to me, if Drew Brees is going into filmmaking and being an executive producer, which is just so fucking hilarious to me, there are going to be other people that pick up on that. And so I think by virtue of that itself, she's already, like, she's been on OWN, she's doing Amazon. I think she is going to be one of our next big stars, because I mean they're getting Regina King, One Night in Miami. She did that through Amazon.
Yep.
So I'm sure that she'd have her eye on Lovey. So
well, and Lovey's only is 22 years old.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, she's only 22 years old, which I was also happy about, because some of these scenes, them running around the gym, I was just like, I'm a grown ass man. I'm a grown ass man. I said, how old is this girl? Okay, she's 22. This is
I'm all right. Yeah, it's I think that's always been the reason why they've gone with slightly older people when they start dealing with the more mature subject matter for
it blurs the lines a little bit when you're like,
yeah, and it's a mind fuck, and different people feel different ways about it. I mean, it's a movie.
That's why kids is so fucked up, I think. That's like because they were actually legit like 16, 17, 18 when they made that movie. And so that's why everyone was like, this is really uncomfortable.
It was really, really hard to watch. And I wasn't much older when that movie came out, because who was in it? It was like Rosario Dawson?
Rosario Dawson, that one goofy nigga who was also in Bully. It's the same director.
Goofy.
Yeah.
I mean, Chloe Shivernay or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
Or what?
Savigny?
Whatever.
Yeah. Yes. So I was kind of I wasn't too much older than that age group. And it was hard to watch for me. That was too much reality. That was too much reality.
Yeah, because just like in Tyler Perry thing, somebody's gonna get the AIDS.
Somebody's getting the AIDS.
Well, that was. I mean, I know we're talking about kids, which maybe we should have reviewed that. But like, yeah, didn't that end with like that dude like kind of raping Chloe Sevigny, and then know that she has HIV?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that movie is fucked up.
Yeah.
Why do they make these things? Real quick,
to terrify us.
Real quick aside, Jarrell Jerome, he's also going to be big soon.
Oh,
he's already like killing it with like awards and stuff like that. But his filmography is so diverse in regards to the projects he does that like it's just a matter of time before he breaks through like it's something big.
But he really has and I'm not going to say like not the actor. He has a very Bill Nunn-esque to him, but Bill Nunn as Radio Raheem.
Oh, because and stuff.
Yeah, he does.
It's just I don't know what it is about him. Like when I was watching this film, it was like I saw Radio Raheem just coming through him like hard the entire movie. I'm just like, yo, where's your boombox, nigga?
I would actually like to see him in movies like with whoever the next Spike Lee type young director is. I would love to see what he does with whatever this generation Spike Lee or whoever it's going to be. Because he's an amazing actor. I will be the first to say I've seen clips of When They See Us. I had to tap out of that type of that type of movie.
You got Fruitvale Station fucked you up. I mean, when they
I after Fruitvale Station, I was like, you know what? I'm good on this. I know they're killing us. I got it. And so I can't, and I think those are important stories that need to be told, but I'm not going to be the one to watch.
Listen, after I watched When They See Us, I crawled into bed with my 2-year-old to hold him tight because that shit was crippling.
Yeah, I mean,
I couldn't sleep at night.
Well, Corey Wise, Jarrell Jerome, he looks like, you can't see the picture behind me, but he looks like my godson. And, because of like the environment he's being raised and stuff, my wife and I are watching this and we're starting to cry because we're like, that could be him because Corey Wise didn't have much education. He was being set up as the fifth dude, had no idea what was going on. And then they put him in adult jail because he was 18, right?
Yep.
And it's just, he has his own episode. And I was like, Jarrell Jerome killed that shit, but it's one of the most heartbreaking things you could ever watch as a Black person.
It was hard for me to kind of, it was terrifying for me as a kid when it was on the news, because when it was on the news, it just dominated the news cycle.
Were there
Um,
like, what was there like racial? What was like the racial tensions like during that time? Like,
it was so
well, I was in the suburbs in Michigan, so like when that happened
in New York, especially in New York racial tension was always making national news.
Yeah.
You had the this was and not that these things were all right together, but within the same like decade or even like latter part of the decade, you had Tawana shit. Is it Brawley? I can't remember her last name.
Yeah, something like that, right?
That Al Sharpton was dealing with, that he got involved with that. You had the exonerated five. You had
the guy in Bensonhurst, right? There was a documentary about him recently.
You had yes.
Shoot, I'm blanking on
What's his name? The one on the subway. Right? The guy on the was it the guy on the subway?
Well, he went to Bensonhurst to look for a car. Like they got out of the subway station, and this white mob thought that he was someone else, and then they killed him.
Yeah. So it was to witness that in everything that you see. You know, you're being told that this is progress. You know,
I mean, Louima,
Abner Louima
and like all the other like that. Yeah, it was a hotbed for a bunch of shit. Like now
and you've got like 15 years of this, and this was kind of the beginning of the more modern realization of that, because we had, you know, you had what you knew in the 70s, 60s and 70s, but there was this period where, okay, we're past that now. And then the 80s, the latter 80s was like, actually, bitch, hey, crack is here, and no, we are the fuck not. And that was just that resurgence of, we're smack in the middle of the Reagan administration. People are losing their jobs. They're cutting anything that could keep kids out of trouble in the hood, they cut it.
Yep.
Parks, they shut the parks down. They weren't monitored anymore. So guess what? Now we selling drugs in your parks. Like it was just,
the communities. Yep.
It was almost like active war. And so when you're dealing with that, and then you come up with these 5 kids that they're telling you they got dead to rights, and then it's all it is niggas is wilding. And you don't think about how this type of thing contributes to them and the crime bill, and how, because at this point they don't know that these boys, the greater public doesn't know that these boys are getting set up. And so when you see things like that and you hear about teenagers gang raping a woman and all that, you're feeding into these, it all feeds into this big pot of everything is out of control. So that's when you start, our parents were reaching out to their representatives to do something. And that's how it was, things like that contributed to the crime bill. So while crime was out of control, it didn't just get there in a vacuum. And so it was a wild time to be alive. And then just seeing that and seeing how hard they went on these boys, and to find out that they were just set up was, I don't know. I don't even know how to, and to find out that it was just basically orchestrated. I still can't process it as somebody who watched the news as a kid and understood it as well as a kid could. You know, when somebody's telling you something on the news and the police are telling you something and it's 1980 whatever and you're 12, you don't know that the cops lie. You don't know that the news is racist. You don't know any of this shit.
Well, and then on top of that, like, you know, this was like the beginning of the new era, because then Giuliani came in.
Yep.
And then they really just said, hey, cops, is open season, baby.
Yep.
And they just started being able to bust heads and do whatever the fuck they want. So then that opened the for everything else that started to come up later. So
to bring it back to the movie real quick, no cops in this entire damn movie.
Not one cop.
No,
and all these kids getting their ass beat. White children are getting their ass beat and the cops aren't showing up.
Yo, that's the truest thing I ever heard.
Yeah.
Because it's like if it's happening more than once, which Jesse Williams' character implies that kids are constantly falling down and getting fucked up. It's like, yeah, at some point you need to increase security on campus.
The other thing about the movie that I did not that went for me beyond my suspension of disbelief was how orchestrated and organized all of this was, and it ignores a huge fact: teenagers are stupid.
Yep.
Yep.
Teenagers are dumb than a motherfucker, and there is no way that and teenagers who don't like each other are even stupider. So there's no way all of this would have just
I could
gone
barely run.
seamlessly.
I could barely run a goddamn library in the 3rd grade where I was making some money. Like these people have 5 different families and factions. You got one nigga over here named Tariq he's all like, I've heard hearsay and rumors that you have a snitch. I'm like, who is this dude?
Yeah. Who is this Justin Guarini ass little nigga?
What's his what was the guy on Thrones, the whisper, the spider, the whatever, the bald one.
Oh, Verzies or
yeah, Varys. Like you that nigga? It was, they really put a lot of faith, and kids can be very bright for their age, but they still
stupid.
Yeah,
they're still stupid.
Oh my goodness.
Listen, man, my like when COVID's first happening, they just like, oh, we're passing these bills for unemployment, things like that. My nephew's 10 years younger than me, so he's fucking 26, right? And he comes by and he's talking about, yeah, I gotta figure out, because he's like a DJ and works in music. And he's like, yeah, I gotta figure out.
Is he good?
Huh?
Is he a good DJ?
I don't listen to his shit. That's not my thing. He does that fucking like
the moaning children.
What's that?
The moaning children, like the
no. He's more like
over the disco.
Wait, what the fuck was that, Brandon?
You said the moaning children.
You mean orgasm music?
Yeah, you're doing something else. I was talking about.
No, he does more like the
You're gonna have to go to Jesus on what you talking about.
They deserve to die. I hope they burn in hell.
Oh my god. Like kind of like the electronic music and all that kind of bullshit.
EDM.
Yeah, EDM shit. But like
we're in heaven. Yeah, I know that stuff.
So
I tried to take my old body to a couple of those concerts. I had fun. I had an amazing time.
How high were you?
A little bit.
Yes, there you go. That's the reason you had some fun.
A little bit.
But you felt.
But I was there. Well, everybody thought I was a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Everybody thought I had drugs, and I was like, "Well, this is racist." But then after a certain point, I'm like, "Why don't I sell drugs? I could fucking clean up."
Yeah, you would be killing it.
I'm the only one to do this here. So like he was talking, he's telling me about like, oh, like he needs to figure out how he's gonna get his next, like what he's gonna do for money to pay his rent. I'm just like, nigga, sign up for the stimulus package, and all stuff like. He's like, I can't get it because like I wasn't 1099. I'm like, nigga, like that's the whole thing. Like I had to inform him about all of this. He's 26 years old, and he had he was about to let this free money train ride right by him. That's what fucking teenagers are like. They don't realize it's like, yo, have you not just been paying attention to anything going on in the world? It's like, nigga, go out there and get your goddamn money. Like they changed the rules specifically for people like you. This is what kids are like.
Yeah.
You can't help somebody if they don't want to be helped. Malcolm X said that. Justin, break down our rating system, baby.
Stop calling me baby. So we rate movies, bags of popcorn, small, medium,
Malcolm X
large.
didn't say that,
No, he didn't. Small, medium, large, and the XL for the exceptional. If a movie does not deserve any popcorn, we throw it into the dog shit pile. Where we pile piles and piles and piles of dog shit on top of it.
Oh yeah.
So we sat down and we watched, what's the name of this damn movie?
Selah and the Spades.
And the Spades.
I was gonna get there. Melanie, what say you?
Small, medium, large, extra large.
or a
Dog
dog
shit.
shit?
Or dog shit. It's not dog shit. I would say medium.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a medium, like a low medium, but a medium. Medium, no butter.
Okay.
Okay, that's fair. I'm giving it a medium as well. I thought there was enough there to keep my interest for the hour and a half, but they, like you said, Melanie, they definitely left a lot on the table, like a lot of opportunity. You had a great cast, so why not give them something to actually work with? I felt very anticlimactic. Like they helped Paloma from falling over a cliff, and they just slowly walked back to the dance. Like things are still fucked up. They're not.
And we're just gonna skip over the whole part where we had a very strong inclination that Selah was just about to throw her ass over,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
because that scared the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
They probably had a cut where that happened. Probably. Justin, what's your rating?
I feel like there was probably a cut where she imagined herself doing it, and then he called her back,
Mm.
because there was something. It just seemed like there was something missing in those moments. And I'm sure that when they played it, people were like, okay, no, you can't do this to people. You can't do this shit.
Justin, what's your rating?
I'm gonna go with the small. I just felt like the story didn't have enough to really want me to like. This is definitely something that will never get a second watch from me. And I just needed a better story. The actors didn't do bad at all, but the story was trash, in my opinion. And
I'll be honest, I gave it a medium a lot based on the actors doing what they could with the material that they had, because I think they did a really good job.
they polished up a turd.
They polished a turd, and they really, I can't say it enough, they really underused Gina Torres. That was a problem.
Very true.
And why was the stepfather even there? But yeah.
They just try to give somebody a check, you know.
Yeah, black actors.
Yeah.
I read some trivia. So the director and writer Poe, she had initially imagined the story being told through a variety of nonlinear media. So a website of short stories, short films, music, and photographs, which together would tell a full story. So I don't think she was very story oriented versus like, I want to try to make this visually stimulating. I don't think she probably dug deep enough to, the story points that we are all thinking in our head.
I think people like that need to collaborate more with more than one writer. A lot of people lose me like that. Like I know you're not supposed to say anything bad about Michaela Cole, but I could not get into chewing gum, and it was because it was a very singular. It was a story coming from her own head, and what she did with it and how she presented it. Like I think it was very true to what she wanted.
Yeah.
But as a consumer, it's not something that was particularly enjoyable for me. And I think that's the same thing that I would say with this story. Like some folks, like, you need a partner to tell you, don't do that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Or dive deeper into this. You need some trust that can give you that kind of feedback. Absolutely. Melanie, thank you so much for joining us for this episode.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it. Please tell the listeners how they can follow you and all the cool stuff you're doing.
All the cool stuff I'm doing. So I am on all my social media is the Melanie Dione. That's Twitter, Instagram. I'm also on Clubhouse for the people with iPhones, which is a whole thing. But you can also find me on Medium. I think I'm under the Melanie Dione there. And I am currently working with Fresh Fest Beer Fest. We are a Black beer festival, and we are this year having our 4th festival in the fall. So I'm going full speed ahead. We're about to drop some announcements.
I was going to say, it's like, this can't be coming up like this.
We're later in the fall.
That's dope.
So we are, and we're just working on, we're kind of paying attention to what we've already started announcing our dates and all that. We'll have more announcements in the future. We're paying attention to the news, paying attention to, what the health guidances are. And so, but it's going to be an amazing event. Last year we did a virtual event and we kicked all the ass. Okay. So this year, for our 4th year, we are looking to have an in-person event. I'm being a crazy person about making sure that we're safe because I'm somebody with comorbidities. So I have to make sure that I don't die trying to get people drunk. Because I love y'all. I don't care more about your beer than I do my health. So I'm making sure that we can do this right. And so that's what I'm working on right now. Eventually there'll be some buzz about some writing that I'm doing, but that's still under wraps for right now. But yeah, I'm gonna be a busy girl.
Looking forward to hearing about that. And if you ever need a podcast for the beer festival, just,
Boom, boom.
Absolutely. We are absolutely. I will talk to you guys because we will be looking for podcasters.
All right, cool.
Bang, bang.
So,
Justin, how can people follow you, man?
Guys, you guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at jbrown.did-it, Twitter and Instagram. And Brandon, I know I said
Y'all
that
can
weird
follow
on
me at
purpose.
American Collins, AmericanCollins.com. You can follow the show at Medium P Podcast on all social media platforms. Sign up for the Facebook group. Be part of some fun discussions over there. All things Media Popcorn at MediaPopcorn.com. And just if people want to support the show financially, which they should. We've been doing this shit for years, and we give you so much content.
Bang, bang.
Please just sign up for Patreon. But tell them how they could do that.
Patreon.com/medium popcorn. We have tons and tons of episodes on
So
there.
many.
The whole backlog. We also got the rant. We have What Am I Watching? We got the Zoom parties. We got shit for you for any occasion. And we also have tpublic.com/medium popcorn.
That's right.
Swag up the wazoo. Go get yourself some because we here for that shit. And if you want to leave us a voicemail, leave us a voicemail at 347-508-0978. Tell us why you love us. Tell us why you hate us. Just tell us something. I don't care. Yo, yay. I don't know what's going on, but there's people dying all over the place.
Melanie, thank you so much for joining us.
thank you for having me.
And before we leave, because it's Black History Month, I'm going to give you a real Malcolm X quote, and that is, "The future belongs to those who prepare for it today."
That's what I said.
That is
Damn.
not what you said.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thanks, Mel.
Thanks, guys.